Today, the Detroit Lions secured their 10th win of the season, but now they have to prepare for an absolutely grueling gauntlet over the next 18 days. We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. I'm going to tell you this right now, folks. This is a very weird episode because normally after a game, there's cause for celebration. There's always a reason as to why we should celebrate, why we should be happy because, hey, we have won a game. And considering our record, we've had a lot of reason to celebrate this year. We have won 10 games, we've won 9 in a row, and we're 10-1. So it's like, okay, Lions are doing pretty damn good. But the problem is that with this game that we just played against the Colts, as my thumbnail image states, we can't celebrate. There's really no ability for us to celebrate. Not because, we did something wrong, not because we didn't play a good game. It's because we don't have time to celebrate. The Lions now have literally got to get ready for the next game, which is in 4 days. So they have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to get ready for their game against the Bears on Thanksgiving. That is a ridiculously fast turnaround time. So it's like, okay, that right there is telling a lot of people, or at least it should anyway, that the Lions don't have time to celebrate. There's no way, nor is there a reason why they should celebrate because you just don't have the time. You don't even have time tonight, at the moment I'm recording this, after you've won the game, to really celebrate, to actually, enjoy the victory. Because it's like, listen, you've got to start preparing like right now. So that in and of itself is why this episode is so ridiculously weird for me at this point. Because just to give it the moment that it's due here, the Lions accomplished a hell of a lot with the victory against the Colts today. First and foremost, the Lions swept the AFC South Division. That in of itself is a massive accomplishment because you don't typically see other teams going into another person's division and sweeping all 4 teams in said division. That's just not something that typically happens. But what makes this accomplishment even more important, even more impressive, is the fact that the Lions now, for 2 straight seasons, have swept a division. But here's what's even more impressive. It's not only been 2 straight years that they've swept a division, it's 2 years and they have swept 3 divisions. Think about this, folks. Last year we swept the NFC North. This year we've swept the AFC South. But also last year, we swept the NFC South because we beat the Bucs in the regular season, we beat the Falcons, we beat the Panthers, and we beat the Saints. So in 2 seasons, the Lions have swept through 3 different divisions perfectly. That's damn impressive. And just to put more emphasis on how great of a sweep it was for the Lions this year with the AFC South sweep, the freaking Lions won all 4 contests with a point spread of 154-49. Freaking the Lions outdid all 4 opponents 3 times over. That's insane. So, yeah, that's a massive accomplishment that the Lions are not really going to have a chance to celebrate. There's another accomplishment. It's the first time in Lions history, very first time ever, that the Lions have had back-to-back double-digit win seasons. First time in their 100-plus, year of existence as far as the fact of, okay, we tack on the Spartans and everything else, but it's like, dude, since 1934 when they became the actual Lions, to now, they have never had double, 2 back-to-back seasons with double-digit wins. They just never had that. So that's impressive that they're not going to get to celebrate. And then finally, not only did they accomplish back-to-back, double-digit win seasons, the Lions have had their best start this year in the first 11 games of the season since 1962. I had to go back year by year by year to figure this one out here. The Lions, through obviously their first 11 games this year, we know they are 10-1. The previous best was back in 62 when they were 9-2 through 11 games. So you are, again, talking about a massive difference of time here. Freaking 1962, John F. Kennedy was still the president. So it's like, we're talking about a massive difference here. And this was all accomplished just by winning this game. So yeah, it's a big accomplishment for the Lions, but they can't celebrate it because they have to literally start getting ready for the freaking Gauntlet trio that they've got to play. Because as we know, they play the freaking Bears on Thanksgiving. And I'm going to say this right now. As you guys all know, I love to razz on Bears fans. I absolutely love it. I absolutely enjoy the ever-living hell out of it. But let's understand what we're getting ourselves in for here. These next 3 games over 18 days are going to be grueling. And what makes it grueling is not only the fact of the time, but it's also freaking what we have as far as the circumstances and the opponents we're playing. As I already stated, we play the Bears first on Thursday this week. The reason why this game is going to be a challenge is for actually a number of reasons. The first reason why it's going to be a challenge is because, well, the Lions are banged up. We have got a whole hell of a lot of injuries now that have, kind of culminated like almost all of a sudden. I mean, we've got injuries on both sides of the ball, but where it is particularly a problem right now is on the defensive side of the ball. Think about it. Terrion Arnold did not play this game against the Colts because he had a groin injury. We put Rakestraw on freaking, IR, so he's not going to be able to play for the next 3 weeks because we just went through this one. Alex Anzalone, he's on IR. We can't activate him at least for another 3 weeks, but chances are he's not going to be able to play for another week or two after that. Then on top of that, Carlton Davis left the game earlier today with a knee injury. Now, according to Dan Campbell, he says he doesn't think it's serious. He thinks that they're okay, but he didn't commit to whether or not he thought they were going to be able to be. He didn't commit on whether or not Carlton Davis or freaking Montgomery or freaking Taylor Decker would be available for the game against the Bears because freaking Decker and Monty also got injured in the game. But again, they were able to return, but Monty didn't go back out on the field just like Davis didn't go back out on the field. Decker was the only one that came back. So when you take a look at it, the Lions are dealing with an absolute plethora of injuries, and they're missing a lot of players. And the reason why that's important is because, okay, here. When we take a look at the teams we're playing, it's not like they're pushovers. Again, talk about the Bears for a minute here. The Bears are going to be a challenge because of the injury problems we're having right now because, well, one, they're the first team up in the docket, but also there's 4 other reasons on top of that. Number 1, Caleb Williams' mobility. For anybody who watched the game today against the freaking Colts, we saw what freaking Anthony Richardson was still able to do to us by running the ball. Now, granted, Caleb Williams is not Anthony Richardson in terms of size or power. So we're not going to be seeing freaking Caleb Williams try to do quarterback powers the way Anthony Richardson was doing it. But still, his ability to run, scramble, mobility, that's going to give us fits because Anthony Richardson gave us fits. The second reason that the Bears are going to be a challenge is because, as much as I hate to say it, but I've been paying attention, the Bears are finally getting their offense under their feet. Surprised as I am, the fact that the Bears actually fired their offensive coordinator, it actually seems to have helped them. And I'll prove to you right now why. Which, again, puts a bad taste in my mouth. But again, I go where the facts are. I don't I don't stick to my public opinion or what I like to talk about. Whatever the truth is what I go with. Over the last 2 games, including this one that they just lost to the Minnesota Vikings, the Bears have scored 46 points over the last 2 games. Now, that doesn't sound like a whole hell of a lot, but let me put this into context for you. The last 2 games, the Bears scored 46 points. The previous 4 games on top of that, combined, they scored 43. So in 2 games, they were able to put up the same amount of point production they were able to the previous 4 games on top of that. Okay, that right there already shows a vast world of difference between the offense as it was under Shane Waldron versus what it is right now. So there's that. But to put it even further into perspective, what's different is how Caleb Williams is performing. If we take a look at how Caleb Williams has performed as a quarterback over the last 2 games, he's actually played rather damn well. I'm going to put his stats up here really quickly, but he's throwing over 70 completion percentage rate, almost 600 yards, 7.5 almost to throw, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and literally just outside of a 100 passer rating. Why that's impressive is because, again, let's take a look at how Caleb Williams was doing the previous 4 games to these last 2. He was freaking at 57% throw rate, 700 yards, but only at 5.6 an average a throw, 4 touchdowns to 1 pick, but an 80.5 passer rating. You want to know why those stats look the way they do? Is because the very first week of those previous 4 weeks on top of the 2 he just had, that was when he played the Jaguars, and he absolutely lit the Jaguars up. I think he had like 120 passer rating, and that's where he got the 4 touchdowns and all that other nonsense. But the next 3 games after that, against Washington, against the Cardinals, and the Patriots, everything just fell apart. So what I'm trying to get across here is that the Bears offense is actually starting to get into a rhythm here. Forget about the fact that they've lost the last 5 games. Forget about that nonsense. Take a look at what's actually been happening, and you're going to see that, okay, this is not a team that we can just expect that we're going to be able to handle easy peasy when they walk into our stadium Thursday for Thanksgiving. We still have to play them with a very determined mindset, because I'm going to tell you this right now. There's more to why we should respect and more why the Bears are going to be a challenge for us. Again, going back to the injuries here, where are we injured most right now in our defense? It's our secondary. Think about it. Rakestraw's on IR. We don't know where Terry and Arnold is going to be in a couple of days. We don't know where Carlton Davis is going to be in a couple of days. So our 3 most talented cornerbacks are either out or potentially out. Whereas the Bears, oh, that's right, they still have a DOOZY, they still have Keenan Allen, and they still have DJ Moore. Plus, they also have Cole Kmet. Okay, that's a massive problem. I understand that the Lions, we still have Kirby Joseph. We still have freaking, Amik Robertson. We also have, Brian Branch. That's all well and good. But the thing of the matter is if we watch that Colts game against Anthony Richardson, who for the majority of the year has been absolutely terrible as a quarterback, he freaking lit us up because, oh, that's right, after we lost Carlton Davis, we were literally stuck with freaking Kendall Vildor and Khalil Dorsey at cornerback. Kendall Vildor got literally torched the whole damn game. Was not even a contest. And now that's what we're potentially looking at as our starting cornerback tandem. I'm sorry, I don't like that. That right there is just not good. And then the final reason the Bears are a challenge. Again, I take you back to these last 2 games. The last 2 games that the freaking Bears have played, they've played hard and they have done everything they could to win those games, despite what everybody was saying about them. And as much as I hate to make this comparison, but the Bears over the last 2 games have kind of had a vibe almost to what we had back in 2022. They're still fighting. They're still clawing. They're still playing hard. They are not quitting or giving up. And when you consider just what they had to do to get back into the game against the Vikings, they had to go down, they had to score a touchdown, then score a 2-point conversion, then get an onside kick, and then kick a field goal. They did all of that just so that way they could go to overtime. That requires a hell of a lot of effort, and that requires a hell of a lot of things to go your way. So again, all the points I just made, do not take the Bears lightly. I sure as hell am not. I'm telling you this right now. I don't give a damn if their record is 4-7. Based upon what's happened over the last 2 games, they're going to come in and they're going to give us their best shot. They're going to come in and they're going to give us a run for our money, especially considering the state of our the state of where we are as far as our physical health is at. So, there's that. But then we take a look at the other 2 opponents that we got coming up after that really quick, which I can't really talk about too much because those are literally, like another 10 days down the road or so after we play the Bears. But after we play the Bears, the next opponent we play is the Packers, which is a primetime, I believe, Sunday night football game. Packers, don't really have to say too much about them, but hey, we know this. The Packers, they're in the thick of it, just like the Vikings are. They're ranked 3rd in the division right now, so they are well within the playoff race. They're well within the division race. They're definitely not going to quit, and I guarantee you this. After the way we embarrassed them at their home field, they're going to be coming in trying to do the exact same thing to us on national primetime television. So again, Packers are still a good team. They still have a good defense. They still have a good offense. They, as well, cannot be taken lightly. And again, depending upon where we are from a health standpoint at that time, it's going to make a big difference. And also what happens in the Bears game. And then after the Packers, the Lions get to play the Bills, who at this point I think are the likely Super Bowl favorites from the AFC. Everybody can still talk about the damn Chiefs, but let's be honest with ourselves. The Chiefs barely beat the damn Panthers today. They beat the Panthers 30-27. You beat probably the worst team in the NFL by 3 measly points. Nah, sorry. I don't call you the best team in the AFC. I don't even call you the best team in the NFL. You might be lucky to be, at this point, ranked maybe number 5, 6, or 7. When you barely beat the Panthers, sorry, you lose an instant a lot of cred with me. So when we talk about the Bills here, okay, the Bills beat the the Bills beat the freaking Chiefs, pardon me. And the Bills, as I said, are the likely Super Bowl favorites from the AFC. The reason why they're going to be a challenge is because, well, for lack of a better term, Josh Allen, as a player, as a quarterback, he is always a problem. The guy literally has no fear to do whatever he can on a football field to try and win a game. And that dude will literally just make some ridiculous plays. But then on top of that, the Bills are having some of their own injury problems right now. And just like we have been doing, they're playing at a high level. So it's like you have 2 teams in the Bills and the Lions that are very much of the same cut of cloth. They are very determined for what they're doing. Yes, they're dealing with injuries, but they're still playing at a high level. I'm telling you this right now. The way I look at it is this game that we've got against the Bills and the Lions that's coming up at the end of this 18-day period, that's probably going to be a Super Bowl preview. I have no doubt about that in my mind. So, yeah, Lions have a grueling gauntlet of games, and the grueling gauntlet starts against a very interesting opponent in the Bears, which we literally get 3 days to prepare for. Not exactly ideal conditions. But, as the saying goes, there's a silver lining in every cloud. There is a saving grace here. The saving grace is that the Lions get to play all 3 of these games at home. We're not going on the road. So 1, we're not traveling, which is better for us. Number 2, we're going to be in front of our home crowd, which gives us a very, very big advantage, because when you're at Ford Field and you're trying to play in front of our home crowd, forget it. And then, on top of that, there's just the comfort of being in your own environment. You know what to do, you know what to expect, you just feel much more at ease. Now, I understand that doesn't really make a whole lot of difference to professional football players because they're used to going on the road. But I'll tell you this right now. If you were to ask them where they would prefer to play, they would always pick their home stadium every single time because that's where they're most comfortable at. They can play anywhere, but if you gave them the option, they would play at home. And the Lions get to play all 3 of these guys, all 3 of these teams at home, which that's the saving grace. Now, whether or not that's going to make a difference, we're going to have to see at the end of the 18-day period. But having said that, got a lot of stuff we got to put out here in the next couple of days as we get ready for the Bears. So having said it, I'm going to say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you didn't subscribe in the past, please, I highly encourage y'all to subscribe if I've earned the subscription. But I also ask you, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon as well, so that way you guys never miss any more content. I also want to encourage y'all, please, make sure you share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, wherever you possibly can, because the more we can do that, the greater the channel can grow and spread. And with that being said, my friends, I just hope everybody got something out of the content. I hope you all enjoyed it. Whether you guys have been a long-time viewer or this is your first time watching me, I hope you all got something from it. I also hope that everyone in their little world and their lives has got something that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, which will not be too long, I'll see you all in the next episode.